Hello, everyone!
We kick things off with our hero, Tadashi Ono, who is a run-of-the-mill corporate slave, caught up in a job that requires him to print paper even in today's day and age. Ono worries that he will not be able to catch the last train home, and then he looks at a picture of the countryside. It's his dream to live a slow life in such a place, but for now, the dream will remain a dream. Our hero is 40 years old, so he doesn't know whether he'll ever know peace. But then he realizes that he might miss the train. In the middle of all this panicking, Ono trips and falls, with a shelf landing on him, striking a lethal blow. He is the only one working overtime in this building, so he can't even call for help. That's unfortunate as Ono calls out for help, but realizes that he is going to be breathing his last. He has regrets over not being able to farm by the countryside, but that's what happens when your life flashes in front of you. Ono is then sent to a goddess who is cute and curvy. She is called Arya, the goddess of beginnings, and she welcomes our hero to her world, which is called Aveester. She asks Ono if he knows what has happened, but he's clueless. She then explains that he has passed away in his past world, and has now been brought to the heavenly realm of Aveester. Our hero laments that this was a lame way to die, and wonders if he is in heaven right now. Arya now tells him that he has been given the chance to reincarnate into her world. Ono can't believe this, but the goddess explains that he has a pure heart and a pure soul, so he has been given another chance by the blessings of the gods. With that, she summons all the other gods to show their faces, and it looks like a round table meeting. Basically, Ono is to choose one of these gods to be his god of faith when he reincarnates into a new world. Each of these gods has their own unique persona and charm, so it's all up to our hero. In the middle of all this, Ono finds an old man god, so he asks him who he is. He reveals his name to be Kronos, the god of agriculture. This interests our hero because he is not like Wayne, Ikeda, or Ceres, who are known as masters of comic guzzlers. Before Ono can even say anything, Kronos assumes that he will call his skill boring, because nobody is interested in farming. He directs Ono to the god of heroes, known as Herc-Barretts, who is a popular choice in this genre. There's also Maya, the goddess of wisdom, because Kronos has seen from recent research that youngsters want to be wise and know all the magic tricks that exist in the world. However, much to his surprise, Ono says that he would rather learn farming. He can't even believe this, so he asks our hero if he heard him right. Ono confirms that he is indeed looking forward to have his blessing in agriculture because farming is his true passion. The god of agriculture is so shocked that a comic guzzler's hero wants to learn from him, so he asks Ono once again if he wants to reconsider. After all, if he wants to make new things, then there's Vulcan, the god of blacksmiths. Our hero asks Kronos what he can do as a god, so he goes on to explain how agriculture is the work of all living things. This is not just about plowing fields, but also about forestry, fishing, animal breeding, brewing, cooking, and the list goes on. This is all that Ono needs to hear, as he has complete faith in Kronos now. The old man god is so taken aback by this that he hugs our hero and starts crying. Ono asks him if he is fine, but Kronos says that he can't control his tears because this is the first time in tens of thousands of years since the creation of the world that someone has chosen him. This includes 2024 reincarnations, so Ono really is a different F-man of culture. On that note, Kronos gets Ono's full name and becomes very determined. He tells Arya that she has brought him a very rare boy, and she should not let him get away from farming. Kronos is aware that he may never get a chance like this ever again in his life, so he wishes to put everything he has into Ono, and Arya complies with his request. Now that the request has been honored, Kronos does indeed hand over all his power to Ono, and with that, some kind of symbol forms at the back of our hero's hand. This is a sign that he is the savior of the world he is going to, as it is the 7-star blessing from the god of agriculture. However, the other gods seem to have a problem with this blessing. Both Maya and Herc tell him that a 7-star blessing is a violation of the law. Kronos says that he's not cheating here, as he's giving the blessing openly. But Herc says that the maximum amount of blessings a god can give to a human is 5 stars. Maya violates Kronos even further by saying he may have a minor skill, but that does not give him the right to break the law. Of course, the old man god gets upset because he does not like having his power being referred to as minor. Maya claims that Arya would not allow such a thing, but the goddess is busy enjoying the fight, maybe because being in heaven means there isn't much conflict. Kronos starts arguing with Maya, but then Arya decides it's time she stepped in. She believes there is a solution to be had here, so she asks Maya if the world is in turmoil right now. Maya is a bit hesitant to answer, but Arya does get her to confirm that various species are fighting each other in Overpowered, with only a few of them thriving. Most areas are oppressed by powerful nations, and none of the people blessed by Maya have been able to do anything about it. She has blessed a whopping 533 folks, and when it comes to Herc, he has blessed more than 800 people. This is embarrassing because you'd imagine these many people would have been able to do something about the situation in Overpowered. For people were blessed by the dragon god Ord and became ancient dragons. Another 124 were blessed by the demon god Yahello and became demon kings. Vulcan gave his blessings to 86 aspiring craftsmen, and it still did nothing of use. Now, considering Ono is the first one to gain the blessings of agriculture, which doesn't even have any combat association, there would be no harm in allowing him 7 stars. After all, with more food, there will be more peace in the world. Even with Arya's words, Maya is not convinced, but she does try to convince Ono to switch over to her side. She says that people like her and Herc offer much better benefits than Kronos, and this triggers the old man god once again. But he also comes up with the idea to have Maya, Herc, and Vulcan all bless Ono. The other gods think that he has lost his mind, but Kronos maintains that his blessings will not be enough for our hero to dominate his new life. Having said that, multiple blessings has never been heard of before, so Maya is against it. She clearly doesn't favor Kronos, so he turns to Herc for some support. The god of heroes is a bit hesitant, but then Kronos bows down with his head to the ground, practically begging him. Herc is embarrassed to see this, but Kronos really wants to help Ono, so he is willing to let go of his pride. This is new to Herc because gods like to monopolize their powers, but Kronos is doing the exact opposite. After some deliberation, Herc decides to give in, but he only grants 1 blessing star to our hero. Herc is not too pleased about it, and vows to never do such a thing ever again. That leaves us with Vulcan, who is on good terms with Kronos, so he doesn't mind giving a star or 2 to Ono. However, there is something that needs to be addressed here. Vulcan says that if the gods are to give their blessings, then it's a form of a contract wherein they need to get something in return. Ono apologizes because he does not have any money, but Vulcan takes it as a joke. He explains to our hero that all he will need to do is build an altar for the gods and make an offering to them. This is quite easy, and Vulcan says that he prefers wine and snacks in his offering. He is hopeful of something impressive because Ono is going to have some crazy agricultural skills. Before he goes ahead, Ono says that he will make an offering to Herc as well, but the god of heroes says that he did not give him a blessing expecting something in return. Of course, our hero says that he will still make an offering as soon as he can afford it. Herc is impressed by Ono's intentions and tells him that he better not do anything shameful with his new life. On this note, Arya says it's time to get going, and Ono thanks her for his second shot at life. With his new blessings, Ono is now going to be reincarnated again, and he is wished all the best for his new beginning. A flashy sequence follows, where we see our hero transcending to the new world, and then he finally steps into it. Ono seems to be in the subcontinent frontier zone of Overpowered, so he tries to figure out exactly where he has been reincarnated. This is a lot of land in front of him, But there's no reason to fear because Kronos is here. He says it's time to get to work, but Ono is a bit confused because there's nothing here at all. Kronos says that there are mountains, rivers, and plains, so they actually have all they need for farming. Ono had always wanted to farm by the countryside, but he never imagined he would be alone in such an empty space. Our hero sees the logic for farming, but he asks Kronos why they are here specifically. The old man god says that this was the only place where he knew that people would not be around. More importantly, the taxes in other countries are quite high, which is something that not only Ono, but all of us can also relate to. Our hero surely does not want to be taxed heavily by a nobleman, so this is his best bet. After all, he's not a hero, so people like him will not be favored in this world. Kronos adds that every country in this world is at war, and the peasants are the ones who are suffering the most. This is why he didn't want Ono to suffer right at the start, and our hero is thankful to him for being so considerate. He asks if this place is inhabited by anyone, to which Kronos says that this place is called the Outskirts, and has been abandoned by God's grace. It turns out that the evil rocks and trees here are so hard that even axes will not be able to chop them down. Plus, the river of sorrow is poisoned, so no sane man would want to live here. This is bad news for Ono, but then Kronos says that these cursed days are over, because now the hero of the story has finally come to the frontier land. Ono wants to know how he is going to use these blessings, so Kronos tells him to put his hand in the river. That's not what Ono was hoping to hear, as he shouldn't ideally be touching a poisoned river. Anyway, he goes ahead with it, and suddenly the river changes entirely from poison to blessed. Kronos now tells Ono to try the water, and he is shocked to find that it is actually tasty. This skill to purify water and soil is just one of the blessings that our hero can use, and he is thankful for it. Kronos also says that Ono's body has been reset to 20 years of age, so that he can avoid injuries and heal faster. Kronos has one more gift for Ono, which is a magical bag given to him by Maya. This bag has unlimited storage space, and the items inside it do not decompose, making it perfect for farming. Ono can't believe that Maya would give a gift to Kronos, and the old man god confirms that he actually stole it from the treasure room. This is not okay, but Kronos says he'll apologize to Maya later. It's not like Maya was helping anyone with blessings either, so she kind of deserved it. Either way, Ono feels he should make her an offering too, so that she won't be mad at Kronos for what he has done. The old man god is fine by this, although he hopes Maya doesn't unleash her dark side on him. Now that the water is done, it's time to take a look at the food. Since the bag can hold anything, Ono is advised to put a lot of water in it, as well as some clay. Ono is pleasantly surprised to see that he can use this bag instead of pans and cups. Suddenly, a massive fish also enters the bag, which makes him wonder if it is a salmon or a trout. Kronos is just happy to see that our hero has gotten some food with him too. Since they have gotten everything of use from here, it's time to go into the forest for more supplies. First up, Ono comes across magical tree which is as hard as a steel rod. His blessings are able to appraise the variety of a seed, but that should be child's play for someone who has his blessings. Now he finds an Alicia herb seed, which is supposed to be a jackpot. These herbs the finest for medicine, and are named after Alicia, the goddess of healing. Normally, you would never find such herb seeds here, but perhaps Alicia has left them here as a gift for Kronos and Ono. Our hero wishes to grow it right away, which is a good idea. He is also able to make a nice plowing device with minimum effort. It's effectively a digging stick, and it fuels his excitement to start a farm from scratch. Kronos tells Ono to put his heart and soul into his first move, which is exactly what he does. In a dramatic moment, Ono launches his first strike with the digging stick, but the outcome is a bit too extreme for him as well as Kronos. There's a bit too much damage to the ground, which Ono has no idea on how it happened. He asks Kronos how this happened, but the old man god would like to know that too. He asks Ono what he did exactly, so he says he did as he was told, by putting his mind into that blow. Upon checking the soil, Kronos realizes that it has not just been plowed, but also transformed into good soil for farming. Kronos admits that even he does not have powers such as these, so it could be that a 7-star hero like Ono has surpassed him due to the purity of his heart. Basically, since our hero always wanted to be a farmer, his desire for it has made him a lot more powerful than Kronos had imagined. Kronos is glad that Ono's wishes have not gone to waste, and then he tells him to start watering the soil. It turns into a nice earthy color, and then Ono sows some of the Alicia seeds. Before these two can plan their next move, the Alicia herbs already start sprouting, which is a bit too ridiculous. This truly is the divine power of a god. And then Kronos reveals that any plant can be harvested in 3 days at this rate. This is not even the half of it, as our hero now grinds up the animal bones they found earlier in order to scatter them around. This acts as a form of fertilizer, and the plants grow even faster. Kronos now says that with such a boost, the plants can be grown in just 2 days. Kronos is feeling hyped up now, so he tells Ono it's time to plant something else. Time passes by, and the trees are already grown, so Kronos says it's time to chop them down for firewood. Ono does not like the idea, especially because the trees are still growing well, but he does it regardless. Our hero does worry that this is not dry wood, so it cannot be used as lumber just yet. After all, freshly cut trees contain way too much water for that, but Kronos is aware of this. In order to remove the water, it would normally take 3 or 4 days, but that would be a lot of time. However, Kronos tells Ono to take a piece of wood and squeeze it. Our hero doesn't understand why he is being asked to do this, but he does it anyway. He is shocked to see that he is able to squeeze and twist the wood as if he is trying to dry wet clothes. Kronos takes pleasure in teasing Ono here, because this was something he knew about. He also tells Ono not to use the logic of his old world here, because this world is full of blessings. Ono wonders if this is magic, but Kronos says it's way beyond that. This is the divine power he possesses now, so he can do infinite things with it. Our hero realizes that he really has been heavily blessed by the gods of agriculture. Now, it's time to make a fire, but Ono has never done this before. There's a first time for everything, so Kronos guides Ono through the process of unraveling the dead grass and then rubbing sticks to create the fire, after which it can be expanded. The fire is made, and this marks the first light of our hero's journey. Kronos is surprised that Ono is impressed over making a fire, because he has divine powers now. However, he had always wanted to make a campfire when he was in his older world, so this is one of his dreams come true. Watching the fire light up the darkness is a very warm and comfortable feeling for our hero, and it gives him a sense of nostalgia, especially considering this is how his ancestors used to live and survive. Ono seems to be in a deep state of mind, so Kronos asks him if anything is bothering him. He says that he was just thinking about his future, and believes that he will be able to make a decent living moving forward. Now, Ono needs a pot to boil water, and Kronos figures that this is why the clay was taken from the river. Ono gets to work and uses the sand to keep the pot from cracking. He's not an expert, but because he has Vulcan's blessing, he is able to make the pot. He uses a style known as Jaman pottery, which is something his ancestors would use. Kronos is impressed with the pottery skills of our hero, but this is just the beginning, and there is a lot to be seen. Ono decides to cook the clay pots over an open flame, and notices that they are turning black. Kronos says this is all they need, implying the pots are already done. This is all due to the blessing of the blacksmith god. So all that's left to do now is to cool off the pots with sand. Some polishing is all that's left to make the final product shine, and then Ono makes tons of other pots. He does not remember the last time he had so much fun while working with someone. When he used to work in his previous company, he would not enjoy anything and would get tired quite often. Ono eventually creates Jaman pottery in the shape of a flame, and Kronos is very impressed by what he sees. All of this is good and all, but Ono is feeling hungry, so he's going to need some food. Kronos tells him he can cook the fish that he brought along with the river's water. Our hero wonders if he can consume this fish, as Kronos reveals it is a devil fish that eats through boat bottoms and attacks people. This is concerning, but the old man god says that there's nothing to worry about. The devil fish has been purified by the blessings of agriculture, so it's a lot more docile. However, Ono is more like oh no, as he is not sure of this. Kronos says that he can remove the blessing and make the devil fish more aggressive. This could help our hero with combat training. He has no interest in that and only wishes to be a farmer. Kronos reveals he was joking, but adds that there could be more monsters out there which cannot be made docile with blessings. It's better to make a house for Kronos to sleep in, but then there is a loud sound which happens to be that of a demon bird. Ono panics and says they need to make a weapon fast, but Kronos states that they already have one ready. It's the digging stick our hero had made earlier, as it is made from magic wood and magic ore. It's actually harder than iron, and Ono also has the blessing of a hero, so he's pretty strong now. Even so, Ono feels he needs to be prepared for anything, but Kronos tells him that he worries too much. He then says that they should make some medicines with the Elysian herbs. After all, our hero should be able to heal not just himself but others too. Ono didn't catch what he said, but Kronos lets it be. The bird has not attacked yet, so it's time to cook the fish and add some mushrooms as well. Ono does the cooking and he wants to hear the feedback from Kronos, but the old man god says that he should add some Elysian herbs too. Doing this does add some flavor to the soup, so it's a good call. It's time to eat, but Kronos will need to be offered the dish because he's a god. Ono asks if he can do anything else for him, so he jokes that a giant statue would do, but they don't have the means for it. The old man god is given his offering, and it's hard for him not to like it when Ono has made it. Next up is Vulcan, because he too needs to be given an offering, and Kronos agrees because our hero is definitely going to need some extra tools. Mentioning his name is enough for Vulcan to show himself, but he is surprised that he has been called so early. Either way, Kronos gives him Ono's offering and he gulps it down rather quickly. Ono asks the god of blacksmiths how he liked it, but he only says it wasn't bad, almost as if he is channeling his Gordon Ramsay energy. Kronos tells Vulcan he's had enough, so he better get to work, but Vulcan laments that he can't even enjoy a simple meal. Kronos decides to give him instructions while he eats, and he starts off by showing him the ore, which is the only kind of stone that exists in this place. Even with his powers, Kronos can't process it, so he will use the blessings of Vulcan to get the job done. However, Vulcan says that the ore can be processed without using divine power, which shocks Kronos, as he has never seen anyone do it before. Vulcan says this is because people don't know the technique for it. Of course, Ono will need tools for this, including hammers, tongs, and anvils, which will be a tough task. Vulcan says it's easy, and he lists out everything else he wants to do as well. After a lot of hard work, a furnace is made, so it's time to heat the wood to the maximum. Now, all that's left is for the evil wood to burn, but Ono didn't know this was possible. However, Vulcan reveals that it does burn, although it takes a lot more time than normal wood. After some time, we can see that the flame chances from red to blue, and Ono deduces that this is actually magic wood, which is why it needs more time to burn the magic ore. Vulcan is impressed and can understand why Maya was trying to steal Ono from Kronos. He leaves the rest to Ono and tells him that he will offer guidance if he notices something off. Ono waits for the magic ore to turn from black to blue, and only then does he start hammering it. Vulcan is impressed once again because turning blue means you can change the shape of the ore. Vulcan says he's never had an apprentice as good as Ono, which makes Kronos prouder than anyone else. Our hero, on the other hand, does not know what to do next. He has to basically do it his own way, because the final output depends on how our hero wants it to look. Ono doesn't care if he will fail, because it's been so long since he's been able to do something new and different. After he's done, he cools it down with a glass of water, and then he notices that the ore has now turned into demon ore, which is super hard and good for processing. Ono makes a hammer of magic steel, which he thinks is ugly, but also likes it because he's the maker. Vulcan approves, but Ono wants to make more tools, so the god of blacksmiths suggests making an anvil. They need to make crucible for that, so Ono suggests making it with clay. A kiln needs to be made to heat it up, so both Ono and Vulcan put in their best efforts to make this possible. After tons of trial and error, they finally create the ceramic mold and crucible, but Ono is at his limit as he has not slept for 2 days. He takes some rest, and Kronos uses this opportunity to make a joke about the seeds being sown. True though, because Ono is going to blossom like a flower. Both the gods now talk about how our hero is a great hope for this world, because it really needs someone with his mindset. Having said that, even the gods can't predict how this is going to turn out, so they can only hope for Ono to do his best and make a positive change here. Vulcan and Kronos are in agreement, and then Ono wakes up. The gods tell him that his training is over now, so they leave the rest to him. Vulcan in particular says that he had a lot of fun training Ono, so he says he will come again if called upon. Of course, he'll need something tasty as an offering, so Ono promises to get him some wine for next time. Kronos tells him that he can obviously make these offerings, but he needs to set his foundations first. Vulcan tells the old man god they need to leave now, because it would not be wise to leave heaven for such a long period of time. On that note, the gods leave, and our hero is left to himself in this new world. He decides it's time to try out his first harvest, and he strikes a pose because up until now, the one thing he was not farming was aura. His life in another begins properly, and a few weeks go by with Ono getting his third harvest too. The fields have grown wide, and the fields of cypress have become a bit like a forest. Ono has built a shack, which he has located next to his millstones, barrels, and other woodwork. So, as of now, our hero is able to make a living. However, he does feel a bit lonely, because he never intended on living here alone in the first place. A pet animal or some kind of livestock would not be too bad either, so Ono thinks about going into the woods, as he had heard there could be hexen beasts lurking around over there. Ono does go into the woods, but then he notices something unsightly. A giant vulture-type bird is chasing an innocent little puppy, and if it keeps up, then the puppy is not going to make it. Our hero worries on what he should do, and then he realizes that he has a weapon on him. He remembers what Kronos told him about being strong, so he puts his faith in his blessings, and he unleashes his digging stick. He uses this power to strike the ground and tries to distract the monster bird. But it is of no use, as it continues to chase after the puppy like it's no big deal. The strike to the ground will not affect the bird directly, so our hero decides to innovate with the dirt he has dug up. He turns into a baseball player, as he lifts the dirt and smacks it at the monster bird, almost as if he's trying to score a home run. Ono does manage to land a hit on the beast, but this only makes it angry. The good thing is that the puppy is safe, so Ono decides to land another smack on the bird. Things are looking good for our hero, as the bird is losing its focus and eventually it flies away, meaning the puppy is safe. Ono picks up the cute little puppy, but notices that it has been cut pretty badly. Luckily, our hero has the Elysium herbs with him, so he acts quick and applies it to the wound. The puppy gets better, but Ono wonders where this animal has come from. There is no trace of its parents, so it could be that this good boy got lost. The puppy seems to like bones, but also has a strong mouth as it chews on the bone and consumes it easily. Our hero panics and tells it to relax, after which he offers the puppy some hard-boiled taro nuts. This may not be a regular dog, but he's very cute and lovable, Ono asks the pup if he would like to come along with him, and he seems to respond with enthusiasm. The pup jumps onto Ono, and he figures he has finally got the pet he was looking for. The pup keeps making a sound like Kururu, so Ono decides to give him the name Kururu too. Now, Ono carries on with his life, but at least now he has a companion. He has managed to expand the lumber forests and fields, while also maintaining a large stockpile of food, although there's not a lot of variety. Ono realizes that there isn't a lot of seasoning, which is essential to enjoy a happy life. This makes him wonder if he should explore the area outside, and he figures he might as well do it. We don't know how much time has passed by since the puppy rescue, but he is no longer a puppy now. Kururu has become a massive beast now, and he looks like some kind of magical fox. Ono is happy that his puppy has finally grown up, and asks him if he would like to come along for a trip to the other side. There could be salt over there, and Kururu sure looks excited to try new territory. Kururu wants his master to get on top of him, but Ono says that he can walk it. However, the beast fox decides to put his master on top anyway, and rushes ahead at light speed. Our hero is amazed to see how fast his pet can run, especially with him riding him. They are able to reach their destination in quick time, as Ono had assumed it would take at least 2 or 3 days. He is so happy that he congratulates Kururu on doing such a good job as well. There is an ocean here, and it's nothing out of the ordinary, as the water is black and murky here, but that means it's the same as the river. Ono touches it with his hand, and as expected, the water becomes clear and tasty. The taste of the water is almost like the Japanese sea, so it looks like this world is not too different from Ono's original one. This means that he can use simple evaporation to extract salt from this ocean, and with this, he will be able to create his own salt fields. Suddenly, Kururu has something to show, and it's a crazy haul of abalone and turban shells. The beast fox then takes his master along to show an even bigger catch, which includes lobsters. This may be another world, but that does not change the fact that this food is going to be yummy. Ono goes on to cook all the seafood, and it's a treat for sure. The lobster is tasty, and so is the abalone because the seawater is nice and salty. The food takes Ono back to the good times, and he cooks some more food for Kururu because he deserves it. As he makes more food, Ono can hear Kururu drinking water, which makes sense because salty food does make you thirsty. However, Ono notices that his pet fox is actually right in front of him, so it makes him wonder who exactly was making the sound of drinking water. He turns around and notices a beast girl drinking tons of water from his bowl. She finishes it in a second and is already complaining about no more water being available. She seems to be dressed absurdly, and it looks like she's one of those fantasy beast girls. One thing's for sure, which is that she's super thirsty, and she wants some food too. This beast girl calls Ono her master, which is a bit too much for our hero, as it could awaken his intrusive thoughts. Suddenly, things go for a toss as someone calls out to Ono, and tells him to leave the beast girl alone, referring to her as Erin. It looks like an elf girl as she has long ears, but her attire is no different. Ono figures this could be an elf girl, but he does not understand what is going on over here. It turns out that she has come down from a ship that was right there the whole time, but Ono didn't even realize it was there. The real problem is the choice of clothing, because our hero is trying his best not to be shady, as he does have a pure heart. The elf girl tells Ono once again to step away from Erin, but he tells her that he never approached the beast girl in the first place. As a matter of fact, Erin is the one holding on to him even now. The elf girl seems to have a whole army with her, and they don't like humans at all. This can't be helped, but Erin is not making things any better by referring to Ono as her master again and again. He asks her to stop doing that, and then Erin tells the elf girl, whom she refers to as Isolina, that our hero is a good man. We'll call her Lena from now on, and she refuses to listen to Erin. The elf girl says that Ono is a human being, so he can never be a good person by default. That's hurtful, but not entirely wrong if you consider how humans are in general. Lena says that the food may be poisoned too, but this offends our hero. He says that the seafood was fresh catch, and it's just stupid to assume that he would poison his own food. Lena is confused now, so she asks Ono if he is from the Frontline Kingdom. He does not even know what this place is supposed to be, so Lena asks him if he is aware of this area. The only thing Ono knows is that the gods call this hell. That in itself is enough to shock the elf girl, but she doesn't understand how her ship came here. After all, the water in this place is supposed to be so black and poisonous that you wouldn't be able to enter it. That's when Ono reveals that he had cleaned the water, which is why it's so clear and accessible now. Lena can't believe that a man would be able to achieve something so impossible, so does find him to be a bit sus. Ono tells her he actually did it, even if it seems improbable. Eren tells Lena and the other elves that they should help themselves to the food, but Lena tells her not to be so gullible. The beast girl argues back, saying there's nothing left on the boat, so it's better to beg Ono for resources. It does look like the crew is starving, so our hero offers to share his food, as Kururu did get a big catch. Even so, Lena refuses to trust a human, and she also asks what kind of a hexen beast Kururu is. Ono simply says that he is just a big dog or a wolf, but Lena knows that is most definitely not a possibility. She can see the fangs on Kururu, as well as claws that could slice through the skin of a dragon. This means that the cute good boy is actually a legendary magical beast, known as a Fenrir. This adds on to Lena's fatigue, and she faints from exhaustion. The elf girl wakes up a bit later to see Ono taking care of her. Lena gets scared because she thinks that our hero may have awakened the dark side over here. Ono lets her know that he did not do anything to her, and the other girls are right in front of them too, so there's no need to worry. We learn that Lena and her crew went out fishing away from their home island and drifted away till here. He feels they should stay and get some strength back, after which he offers some food to Lena. It's actually water soaked in Elysian herbs, which shocks Lena even more. She can't believe a human has these herbs, but Ono tells her not to be so dramatic. She needs to open her mouth to regain some energy, and she reveals to us that she is a medicine girl who has been blessed by the goddess of healing herself, Alicia. These herbs are not fake, and even then Ono is sharing them with a stranger, so maybe he isn't a bad person after all. Lena decides to trust our hero, although she wishes to drink the water by herself. He's fine with that, and then Lena can see that there is grass growing on the beach. This is supposed to be impossible, but Ono says that he made this happen so that the girls could be comfy. At this point, Lena figures he was wrong about Ono. He has a Fenrir following him like a lapdog, and he can perform miracles too. Most importantly, Lena notices that Ono has 9-star blessings, which is a jackpot. Realizing that our hero is blessed with a higher power, the elf girl figures she should apologize for her rude attitude towards him. She tells Ono that she is the chief of the Sea Elves and also a rep of the Kambal Islands. Our hero heard this already, but the difference is that Lena is actually the queen of the Kambal Islands, not a rep. She says she used to be the queen, but now she is the chief of a dying tribe. Ono introduces himself, but his name resembles the word king in Japanese, so Lena thinks he is a ruler. Our hero clarifies this by saying it's just a family name, but even then, Lena thinks he is a sage or a knight. To her surprise, he reveals that he is actually a farmer. Lena can't believe what she is hearing, but Eren says that this new master is very good. After all, he has 7 stars of blessings in agriculture alone, so he can grow whatever he wants. Lena still finds all of this very strange, and she's even more surprised to see her entire crew casually sitting and eating with a human. Eren tells her not to be so stuck up because this is the only way they are going to regain their strength. The beast girl then tells the elf girl to have a bite, and she prepares for it as if she's going to eat something poisonous. Ono reassures her of this, but then Lena gives him a saying about eating poison and dying that is quite similar to what they say in Japan. There are quite a few similarities between both worlds, and as Lena finishes her food, she thanks our hero for it. However, she also asks him to make her his slave, which has come completely out of nowhere. Thus is shocking to Eren as well, and now Ono has no idea how he should respond to this. This is a dream come true for most heroes of comic guzzlers, but Ono is different, so he wonders what he should be doing here. He does not feel good about the idea of making girls his slaves, because he's not the Epstein type. Eren tells Lena that she should not become Ono's slave, because she is their leader. The Beast Girl offers to be her master's slave girl, but Lena says that if anyone is to be sacrificed, it should be her. The two women argue over this, but Ono asks them why they are making such a big deal out of him giving them a free meal. Lena says that it's because our hero may be trying to act like a good man in front of them, but in reality, he is just a scumbag who wants to make all these elf girls his slaves. Ono is pretty frustrated at this point by Lena's jumping to conclusions, but she's no different from the women of Earth. Lena refuses to accept that a human can be good, because they are known to be vicious beasts who like to enslave elves and catgirls. However, Ono says that's a very crazy type of thinking. He reveals that he has been living here all alone, and he does not need any slaves. Eren is confused, so she asks him why he's helping them if he doesn't have any shady intentions. Our hero simply says that he'd help anyone in this world, and even asks why a person wouldn't help someone in need. The girls explain how humans actually behave in this world, and it shocks Ono greatly. Now we learn that the Kambal Islands, which are the home to elves and beast girls, were attacked by the frontline Dookie. Before this, the demon tribe also invaded the islands and ended up eating their residents, which is a bit too extreme. Their home is now in ruins, which is why Lena and the others drifted away from the frontier to escape from the war. This also explains why there are only young girls and kids in the crew. The elders and the powerful fighters were all slain during the war. Lena explains that the demons only think of them as bait, so the Dookie people are technically better, but their taxes are way too high. Eren adds that the girls will be forced to become slaves if they don't pay their taxes and create food for the Dookie. The heavy taxes is something that Kronos had also told our hero about, and then Lena states that she and her crew were trying to gather food offshore so that they could stop their people from enslavement. Hearing all of this makes Ono angry, and he now understands why humans have such a horrible reputation here. He then asks Lena if he can put something edible in the warehouse, after which he empties a ton of mushrooms out of his magic bag. Lena can't believe what she is seeing, but Ono says he will give them more supplies too, if needed. Eren hugs her master and thanks him, but he still asks her not to call him that. Lena is now shy to ask, but Ono encourages her, so she says it would be great if she could get some of the Elysian herbs too. That's not an issue at all, because Ono can grow as many of them as he likes. He gives a ton of herbs to Lena, but the elf girl says it's impossible to grow such herbs, because they are so rare in general. Eren simply says that this is because of the blessings of the god of agriculture. And at this point, the elf girl has no other choice but to accept what she is seeing. She reveals that a lot of her people have been injured, which was why she was asking for the herbs. Ono tells her she can take as much as she needs, and then Lena tells him that she too is a medicine girl who has the blessing of healing. She can make crazy elixirs, which is good stuff. The elf girl wants to show her powers, so she creates a potion and then blesses it with the power of healing. The elixir she makes is a universal cure to anything, and she offers it to Ono as a small token of her gratitude. The elf girl calls him master as well, and promises to make him elixir for the rest of his life. This truly is amazing for our hero, because now he has an instant potion to take care of everything he needs. Ono is quite impressed by the glass bottle, But Lena can't believe that this was the only thing he noticed after she gave him the show of her life. Ono says that the elixir is amazing for sure, but he had no idea she could make such amazing glass bottles too. Lena reveals that in order to make glass, all you need is sand, and on that note, she calls out to a girl named Asha. This elf girl is wearing lens, so Ono figures she must know how to make glasses. We learn that Asha is a glassmith who has received Vulcan's blessing, and even though elven glassmaking is a secret, she would be happy to share it with her master. Ono is excited to learn how to make glass, and the hype is real, but Asha tells him that as much as she would love to teach him, there is no material to turn the sand into glass, such as a furnace or other tools. This is not an issue to our hero, as he lets out all kinds of materials from his magic bag, and says he can build whatever Asha requires. This is a shocker for everyone, but anyway, they all get to work. It's going quite smoothly, with our hero dominating the process. Ono is able to make the bricks rather quickly, so Lena asks Asha how this is possible. She says that Ono may have the blessing of Vulcan as well, which is why the process is being accelerated. Lena can't believe that someone has been given blessings by multiple gods, but she'll trust Asha because she is the expert. The kiln and the furnace get made, but Ono figures it would be better to have more of these throughout the place. Looking at the sand, Asha would prefer to add some seaweed or shell ash, so Ono reveals he has tons of shells. There's a lot of seaweed on the boat too, so Ono decides to take some of it. Our hero is able to identify the types of seaweed on board, and believes it will be great for food too. This is surprising to Lena, because apart from sea elves, nobody else seems to consider seaweed as a food. Ono is surprised to hear this, but it might be because the others are not coastal beings. This means that Ono is also a sea person, which makes Lena feel better about him, although all his other miracles should have done the trick too. Now, our hero notices some cotton and sea rubber, but they're not the same ones which can be used for bungee sponges. Lena reveals that these materials are useful for the swimsuits the girls are wearing, but this only makes our hero struggle with his intrusive thoughts. He figures he should teach the girls how to grow and sew them too, because it turns out that he actually is a man of culture. However, Lena laments that it takes years and years to harvest sea cotton and sea rubber. This is not a problem for Ono either, as he tells the elf girls to just wait and watch. He steps into the water and instantly grows sea rubber, which shocks Lena once again. Shell dust as fertilizer will also do, which is a smart move according to Lena. All it takes is one sprinkle, and the sapling shoots up to become a massive tree. The elf girl can't believe her eyes, but Ono is on a roll, so he says they will stay on this beach to make plant ashes, yarns, and fabric for glass making. Now, he asks Lena if she really wants to thank him for the food, to which she says yes. She says that the world does not need medicine folks or beast men, but they need people like Ono, who will do whatever he can to help others. She is glad to be by his side, as that will put her on the right side of things. Ono says he is just a farmer who does not know about this world, so he strikes a deal with Lena. He will provide her with food and Elysian plants, and in exchange, she will bring him items from her island that might be useful. She gets his vibe and says that they'll leave for their home island tomorrow morning, after which she will surely get back something useful for our hero. This makes him realize that it's almost sunset now, as he did not realize how time flew by. He should have at least built a house for the elf girls, but he used everything up on the equipment for the glass. He's done a lot for the girls so far, so it's not like they're upset with him or anything. Erin decides to make herself useful, as she sets up a tent in rapid time. The girls have a stretchy fabric that can be used as a tent, so Ono is thankful to them for using it. It's honestly the least they could do, and the Kururu shows up with a ton of prawns. The Fenrir is covered in salt water, so it's time for a bath. Kururu becomes super soft and fluffy after his bath, but this makes the elf girls want to take baths as well, and this leads our hero to fight his inner demons. He figures he should make changing rooms for them because he does not want to tarnish his wholesome image. Ono gets fresh as well, but then Lena shows up in an alluring night dress and asks him to come to her tent. On Comic Guzzlers, we all know what that means, and so does Ono, which is why he says it would be better if he stayed here and watched the fire. He wants to keep his intrusive thoughts at bay. But both Lena and Asha drag him inside because they can't let their master sleep outside while they sleep in a tent. Erin is there too, and she wags her tail as she calls out to her master. Our hero does not want her calling him that, and even though this tent has a lot of space, Ono isn't sure if it can take his elephant. He has no choice, so he decides to sleep at the far end, but Erin drags him to the middle and says he should sleep there. Anyone else would just let the dark side take over him, but Ono is still fighting a losing battle. Luckily for him, Kururu shows up and sleeps between him and the girls, so Ono is safe for now. He believes his good boy may have sensed his distress, so he has been saved from tarnishing his image. After a good night's sleep, our hero wakes up to see Erin already up and running. She teases him about his shady situation, but he does not understand what she means by this. Erin points to Lena, who is sleeping in a very vulnerable position. Erin now reveals that Lena is a little rough when she sleeps, which was why she wanted Ono to sleep in the middle. Basically, she was trying to sabotage our hero by making him give in to his shady intentions while with Lena. Luckily, his elephant did not take over, but Erin says this is a good thing for our hero. He tells the beast girl not to make fun of a grown man, but then he asks Erin how she was able to attach the bamboo and the fabric to the tent. She does not know what these things are. It could be a natural glue extracted from the remains of animals. And as our hero thinks this, Asha shows up and asks him if he would like to learn how to make a tent. She explains that the tent is elastic because of the sea rubber, and also because it's a synthetic made from wood and bamboos. Erin notices that Ono really likes making things, to which he says it's always been his passion. He asks her what she likes to do, so she says she's more of the brave person who fights because that's what everyone tells her to do. As a matter of fact, Erin has fought a shark too, so Ono figures this is just how beast folk are. Lena is up too, so Ono offers her some water, although she says sorry for her current appearance. Our hero smiles, and in his head, he realizes that the elf girl is not as strong as proper as she made herself out to be. After all, the true test to discipline is how you wake up in the morning. Now, it's time for the girls to go back home, and as per the wind speeds, they should take roughly a day to make it back. Ono just tells Lena to get the food to her people, and she still doesn't know how to thank him for his kindness. He tells her that he has made a deal with her, so this should be considered a trade of equals. He is counting on her and the others to get stuff back for him, and he also can't just allow other people to ruin the name of mankind while he is here. Lena is touched by these words, but not by his elephant, so she thanks her master once again. Our hero figures that this must be the reason why Kronos gave him his powers. He must do right by it and make the god of agriculture proud for choosing him. Lena says that she will leave Asha and 2 other girls here with Ono, so that he has some help with his work, which is a good move. On that note, she takes off, and our hero waves goodbye to his new elf accomplices. Now, Ono introduces himself to the 2 new girls, and he asks for their names as well as what they're good at. The blonde girl says her name is Laura and she is good at sewing, while the redhead babe says her name is Barry, and she works in the fields on the island. Ono is looking forward to working with his new team, but he asks the girls if they have any other clothes. After all, our hero will not be able to get a lot of work done if he keeps staring at their curvy bodies. Laura says she might have some clothes, and then Ono asks why the elf girls only wear swimsuits. She reveals that they live on the beach, so it makes a lot more sense for them to wear swimsuits than anything else. Ono says that they will be working on land now, so it is important to make sure the elf girls are not exposed to the sun. Laura agrees, and then the other girls also show up in their new clothes. The first task on today's agenda is building a forest, which is a big deal. But with our hero's powers, pretty much anything is possible. Barry is shocked to see how fast the plants are growing. But this is no surprise to her master. Our hero wants to focus on plowing the fields and nothing else, because the girls need to use their energy for the soil and the seeds. The girls do their tasks properly, so Ono decides the forest is good to go. He's also thinking of digging a well around here, so Barry says she will take care of it as she used to do the same thing back on the island. However, Ono tells her this is not the same thing, and then he uses his magic to appraise the land. He seems to come across something, but Barry panics because of the sound. Ono tells the girls to step aside because he may just have hit the jackpot. He strikes the ground, and then a massive gush of water reaches the top. Ono could smell the fresh water in the ground, so he plowed the underwater vein. Basically, Ono didn't want to waste time building a well, so he simply dug a hole in the ground. This is way too advanced for Barry to follow, but she wants to be of use, so she asks to be allowed to do the construction. Ono is fine with that, as he has all kinds of materials to make that happen. Our hero now decides to take a lunch break, although it is a bit early for that. But it's fine because Asha is there to supervise Barry. She tells Laura to help her master, which she does, and then they notice that Kururu has caught yet another fresh batch of seafood. The salt that Ono has made has got a sweet taste, so he thinks of a new recipe. Laura asks what she should do, so Ono tells her to bring the seaweed he had taken from the elf ship. He intends to make soup with it, so Laura does as she is told. Now that he has some more time to cook, our hero intends to make the soup a bit more complex. Laura comes with the pot, and from the looks of what Ono has prepared, she assumes he's trying to make bread. Ono is surprised to see Laura guessing it right, because seaweed can be used for bread and cookies. Laura says that she has experience in baking bread, so she wants to do it. Ono wants to learn how to make bread, so he decides to do it with Laura. She explains that the chia seeds need to be mixed with flour, which leads Ono to ask if Lena will get this kind of stuff with her when she gets back. Laura is sure that she will, and salt alone would be enough, because it would make the dough soft. It's time to bake now, so the flour is put into the furnace and the bread gets made. It's not as fluffy as desired, but it's good enough to do for now. Now, it's time to use the seaweed for the soup along with the fresh catch that Kururu got. The elf girls are amazed to see the dish that their master has prepared, and they dig in. Asha can't believe that Ono made soup using seaweed, because that makes him just like the sea elves. Laura can't even believe that Ono is a stranger because she feels so familiar with him now. Kururu is enjoying his food too, and in order to thank the elf girls for what they have done, Ono would like to offer them some coffee which he brewed with the help of dandelion seeds. Asha does not know this drink as it does not exist on the island, but the girls have it anyway. It's a bit too bitter for them because they are not used to it, and Ono realizes he should have gradually gotten them into this habit. He has made the coffee as per the standards of his world in Japan, which is a bit too bitter and high on caffeine. For Asha though, this is amazing and she loves the drink. Ono is glad to hear that, and he tells Asha that she has to teach him how to make glass. She's a bit embarrassed to be teaching her master, but she is at his service if he needs her. After some time, our hero is able to create some nice glass, and Asha congratulates him on it. Things are looking good for Ono, and he wonders how the gods are doing in heaven. He is going to make them an offering with seafood, and then Asha says that the magical wood will be great in boosting the firepower. The sand here is ideal for making glass too, so we have only just begun with the story. Asha now says that they will need to make a lot of potion jars if they are to create tons of elixir. Ono tells her to go ahead and do it while also adding that plates would be nice. Now, our hero believes that he should make as many elixirs as possible to help people in need. For that, he will need to expand the Alicia herb garden too. On top of that, he'll need oil for cooking and lighting along with grapeseed. He then turns to Barry for some support before it gets dark, and she's up for the task. Since they are going to need a field that can be expanded outwards, Ono prepared tools and food with whatever he could get his hands on. As he continues with his planning, he comments that this is really it for him. He has finally achieved the life he had always dreamed about. The next day, the plan is to harvest sea cotton and sea rubber. Barry goes to collect the materials, but Laura says that in order to make yarn and cloth, she will need a spinning wheel and a loom, both of which will take time to make. She and Asha have done it before, so they'll go ahead with it, and Ono says that he will make the sewing needles. Our hero learns how the cotton fibers are turned into thread, which is then used to weave the cloth. He did not realize it before, but making clothes does seem to be a lot of work. This could also be another reason why the elf girls have been wearing swimsuits. Barry notices someone approaching, so she alerts Ono about it. Luckily, it's just Lena and Aaron who have come back from the island. Our hero is glad to see them, but then he notices that it's not one ship, but plenty of ships that have come here. He wonders why there are so many of them, but he realizes that these ships are filled with materials for him to use for his journey. Aaron now happily hugs her master, but he tells her to stop calling him that. She teases him about it, and then Lena tells her master that they have come back safe and sound. The elf girls have brought tons of crops for our hero, and he is delighted to see the amount of stuff they've got for him. He would have been happy even with the seeds, but the final product is definitely better. There's barley with hops, which means that even beer can be made now. With the sugar cane and coconut, brown sugar and coconut water can also be enjoyed. Ono notices wheat and soya beans too, so he really has tons to work with. Lena reveals that the Duke invaders brought these crops with them because there wasn't a lot being cultivated on the island before. The elf girl laments that this is all she could get from her island, but Ono tells her that this is perfect. On top of this, Lena has also got around 150 elf girls to come and help our hero with his work. Plus, they've brought a whole load of tools to help with the cloth production. This is essentially an army for Ono, but Lena says that she used to run a country by herself, so she is going to make the most of this opportunity. Having said that, Ono is not sure how he will cultivate a single field with all these items. As he is thinking of the next step, he hears the girls talking about one of them having an affair with him, which is a nice thing to hear, but also somewhat sus. Lena is told that Ono is not the kind of man to be so shady, but she says it would be a good thing to have him united with the sea elves. They keep saying this is a good thing, but our hero lets the girls know he can hear them quite well. Now, he tells Lena that there are far too many people here, but she says that this is the right amount of elves needed to build a village. Ono is surprised to hear this, but Lena says she will only do it with his permission. Our hero may not be opposed to living here, but he wonders if they are just going to use this beach to catch seafood. Lena says that she actually wants to build a settlement here. She is grateful to her master for building the forest for her, but now she wishes to cut down the trees and use the wood for the village. This is a bit too much, so Ono asks Lena to calm down a bit. He says that the wood will take some time to get dry, otherwise they can't burn it. Sure, he can squeeze the wood, but even then, it might take 3 days for the whole forest to be done. Lena thought that Ono would be able to pull another rabbit out of the hat, but everything can't be a miracle. After some further discussion, Ono asks the elf girl what her real angle is, so she reveals that she wants to build a kingdom for her master. She can totally see our hero becoming the king of this land, so she will do her best to make this dream of hers a reality. Ono is taken aback by this, and he tells Lena that Kronos may have given him this land, but that does not mean it is only his. The elf girl says that the one who made this place livable is Ono, so he should lay claim to the land. Ono feels the gods should have a say in this too, because he got his blessings from them. After all, he does not know if he is the type to rule over a kingdom. Lena explains that if this place begins to thrive, then people can come here and live happily. That wouldn't be such a bad thing at all. And then Lena decides to show her master something so that he can get an idea of what the real world is like. She calls a girl named Lisa, and Ono is shocked to see that she is missing an arm. He does not know what to say, so Lena explains that Lisa is a soldier elf who has been serving her family for a long time. She lost her parents to the Demon King's army as they got eaten up by demons during the war. Then, the Duke people came along, and this led her to lose her main arm in battle. Now, Lena gives Lisa the elixir she made and tells her to drink it. To Ono's surprise, Lisa's arm regenerates like it's nothing. He knew the elixir was supposed to be great, but he had no idea it could regenerate lost parts. Lisa now thanks our hero, because it is due to him that she can wield her sword for Lena again. Now, the elf girl explains that she wanted her master to see this demo so that he could see how things are. Even though she is a medicine girl even with a blessing, she could not do anything on the island as there were no medical ingredients or even food for that matter. People were starving and she could not do anything for them, which was why she stopped being a queen. Ono argues that Lena has the power to make the elixir, not him. He does not have any healing abilities, so he can simply send her supplies whenever she wants. However, Lena says that it was only because of the Elysian herbs that Ono made that her people got saved. It's not just Lisa either, as there were many other elf girls with wounds, but she has healed them all now with the herbs. Now, it's time to get serious as Lena brings out the crown she used to wear when she was queen. It's made from the elf clan's special tree, which is basically the elf king himself who had turned himself into this tree ages ago. The crown has been passed down from generation to generation in the royal family, and now it is time for our hero to wear it. Lena officially calls Ono the king of the land, but he says he can't just take something so valuable like that. Lena tells him that he needs to understand how some people will never leave their land, no matter how severe the Duke rule is. However, in order to save those people, a new hope is needed, and maybe just like the Star Wars kind. Ono is going to be that hope just like Luke Skywalker. This is possible because of his 9 blessings. Each country of this world likes to call itself an apostle of God, but none of them have the number blessing that our hero does. Ono realizes that having a higher number of blessings is a sign of authority in this world. Lena adds that those who claim to be kings are no good at all, including herself when she was queen. However, Ono is different because he cares for others and has crazy powers too. He is the ideal person to become king no matter how you look at it. This seems to be enough to move our hero, as he says he will become the king of the land. He asks if wearing the crown will be symbolic enough, and Lena becomes happy. She makes the preparations by presenting the crown to Ono and telling the gods of Aveaster that she is officially handing down the leadership to him. This is done in front of a live audience, so Ono has officially become the king. Everyone celebrates this, but Ono still feels that he is not cut out for such a role. However, this does take him back to his grandfather telling him he wanted to see his grandson make a difference in the world. That may not have been possible in the previous world, but over here, Ono is definitely going to be that difference. Now that the formalities are done with, Ono says that he better keep the crown away because he's feeling too conscious. Lena agrees with him, but asks if he is planning to go somewhere now. Ono wants to plow a new field for the Elysian herbs because he can see that a lot of elf girls are still injured. After all, being a king does not change his abilities, and it is his duty to save and help his subjects. This Riz works on Lena even more, and then our hero uses his big brain energy. He figures that he should plan out his fields and his harvests properly if he is going to build a kingdom right from scratch. First thing is to plow the land near the village's location, so our hero gets to work, and his subjects tell him that they will help wherever needed. The girls enjoy their tasks, and this leads Ono to comment that he didn't imagine someone like Lena would place such high hopes on him. She can't hear him, but he changes the subject and carries on. Now, Lena has something to show her master too, which is a proper wooden house. It has been made in just one day, which is quite impressive. Lena says that such a thing would never be possible within a day, but she was determined to make a space for her master so that he can at least rest well. Some more time passes by, and the carpenter girls do a fine job of making the home better. Lena tells Ono to praise them for their hard work, because they will feel motivated. Ono notices that some of the kids are male, but the adults are all women over here. This is once again a dream come true for most folks, but Ono must stay focused and not let his intrusive thoughts take over. He thanks all the girls for their hard work, and this does make them very cheerful indeed. The leader of the carpenters, named Ship, tells Ono that his words are wasted unless he actually has a look at what's inside. The house looks quite well done, and this is because of the fine wood Ono was able to make. The surface of the wood has been polished, and even the proper nails have been used, so it's a work of fine art. Our hero asks Ship if she needs any other tools, so she says that iron is something she faces a huge shortage of. Ono says there's no need to worry because once the fields are done, he will make magic steel, which is a lot stronger than iron. The current stock really isn't enough, so our hero figures he should start mining as well. He enters his room for now, and notices that there is a king-size bed over here. Lena says that a king's bed should be soft and huge, as these symbolize his authority. However, Ono thinks that it's a bit too big for a house of this size. Lena says that this is because he will not be sleeping alone here. Ono agrees because even though the others are sleeping in tents, it wouldn't be nice for him to be the only sleeping in such a big space. Now, Lena asks our hero whom he would like to have in his bed, and since he hasn't shown an interest in Aisha, she thinks that maybe her master likes slimmer, more toned bodies like a true man of culture. Ono figures that the word sleep over here has a very different meaning, so he asks Lena what her intentions are. She says that maybe he would like to have multiple baddies at the same time, but this is another moment where Ono goes oh no. He tells Lena that there has been some kind of misunderstanding, as he was not referring to enjoying life like a salacious king. The elf girl understands what he means, but even then, she believes that her master is a king now, so he should have someone attending to his night needs. Ono doesn't know how to respond to this, so Aaron chips in and says that Lena always messes up such lines. On that note, Lena finally tells our hero that the elf girls and beast girls would like to have an emotional linking to their king. After all, there are not any men to be their partners either, but this is leading to something extremely sus. The food problems have been catered to already, so all that's left is reproduction and increasing the population. Ono is confused because he thought that elf girls hated humans. That may be true, but Lena has come to realize that our hero is an exception the humans she has met so far. There's also the fact that elves are really strong when it comes to reproductive skills. This means that even if they mate with a human, the child will still be an elf. This makes Ono feel even more suspicious because this is not at all the image he had of elves when he was in Japan. Lena says that even if a human child is born, the elf girls won't have a problem with it because it will be his child, after all. The main thing is that the elf girls have a low population right now because of the war, so they need to build it again fast. Of course, Lena knows that Ono would have his own preferences, so she offers him Aaron, who is the chief of the beast girls. She also offers Lisa, whom she wants to place as our hero's guard, but Ono just met her, so he feels a bit uneasy about it. Lena is surprised because she thought that men are always ready to mate, which is true if you are a real man of culture, as has been stated 1,000 times already in this video. However, Ono is a bit different, so it won't be that easy for him to give in to his intrusive thoughts. The problem is that beast girls and elf girls have their own mating cycles. It's not that they won't be able to attend to their master's needs, because their body structures are similar to humans, but when it comes to having babies, it is a must to do it during the breeding cycles. All of this is well and good, but our hero wants to know why Lena is speaking as if he has already decided to mate with someone. Ono is in a tight spot now, but he has to do something about the situation. So he says that he is ready to spend the night with Lisa as she is his personal guard. He is not interested in doing shady things though, so he is suggested to make do with Aaron then, which is even funnier. The beast girl says no diddy and then suggests getting with Lena instead. The elf girl becomes super shy upon hearing this, but she says that she's not sure if her master even likes her. Ono is confused by what he has just heard, but then Aaron reveals that Lena is just upset that her special outfit from the other night didn't work on him. This means that she was indeed planning on getting some elephant water that night. However, Aaron adds that our hero is a bit slow on the uptake, so things need to be spelled out to him. Bro only just realizes that Lena was trying to go for more of a shady appeal back then, but then he also tells Aaron to stop calling him her master. She feels that your majesty would be a better term, but he says she should treat him like she treats Lena. The beast girl adds that she would set a bad example to the other girls if she refers to Ono by name. It's a bit surprising because she is the chief of the beast tribe, but she explains that her tribe feels a lot safer when there's someone at the top of the hierarchy, almost like actual dogs having an alpha. Aaron adds some sad context about her being a failed leader who couldn't help her comrades, and it makes Lena a bit emotional. The main point is that Aaron thinks she can fully trust her new master, even though she may not know him that well. This is when our hero figures that Aaron has had to face such hardships all alone, and that too at such a young age. He then tells the beast girl that she can rely on him completely, which makes her really happy. Aaron hugs Ono with relief, and even he is surprised to see how eager he is to protect someone else. Suddenly, things take a goofy turn as Aaron tells Lena that her master has effectively said yes to her being his night attendant, even though that isn't really the case. Ono clarifies it, so Aaron says she was just trying to take a lucky shot. Either way, he is happy to see his beast girl being happy and smiling with genuine joy. Now, we move to the next morning where we see Ono and Lisa getting out of bed, almost as if they played elephants and kitties with each other. Aaron greets them both with a wicked smile, so we can assume that our boy has finally become a true man of culture. As a matter of fact, they even talk about how the bed was able to take all their twists and turns. Based on the chat that is going on now, it is quite fair to assume that bro got with 3 babes, including Lena and her amazing pillows, which Ono simply couldn't say no to. So yes, once again, it should have been us, not him. Lena wakes up and wishes Ono a good morning, but he feels a bit awkward, so he says they should get down to business. The bread seems to be sorted out for now, so the next item on the list is sugarcane, but Ono also adds barley and hops to the list. Lena is a bit confused, because barley and hops don't make as much sense as sugarcane. That's when our hero reveals that he is going to use barley to create some beer, which he can then offer to his gods. After all, even the enlightened ones need to get wasted every now and then. Lena may not have heard about beer before, but she does know about barley wine. As for hops, she used to make medicines with it back in her island. Of course, people from this age did not know that hops could be used for booze, but Ono maintains that he has to offer something to the gods, so that they can look at him as a true Giga Chad. Now, Ono asks Lena if she knows anyone who can brew alcohol. She says yes, because there are some people who also have the protection of the agriculture god. This allows us to meet Brewer Mal, who does look like someone who can make a good drink. Ono explains the task to her, and understands the assignment. Ono has already made a cask, so he leaves the rest to Brewer Mal while he goes on to do some work at the blacksmith's shop. Our hero catches up with Asha, who is making nails and also repairing broken tools. This makes sense as everything is susceptible to damage, but it is still not ideal to melt iron again and again to rebuild it. Magical steel would be the best option here, but Ono is running out of stock for that. He then gets an idea and calls out to Kururu, as he needs to use his speed for his errand. Ono knows he can now go as fast as the Flash and reach the northern forest in no time. Magical steel is in abundance over there, and he might as well also get some water while he's at it. He brings out his magical storage bag and takes in all the water, and in the process, he also gathers some devil salmon. That's definitely 2 birds with 1 stone, and before you know it, Bro has reached the northern forest. It's time to get his beast mode on. So Ono harvests as much magical steel as he can. He is able to do a good job of that, but he wants more, so he decides to go deeper into the forest, just like how he had gone deeper into Lena's kitty. Now that he's reached his venue, Ono pulls out the dig-up shot, which gives him tons of magical steel. Our hero comments that his protection powers from the gods coupled with the storage bag really come in handy, as he has got a crazy cheat code. Kururu is happy with the collections as well, so they head back to Asha. Ono hands her all the extra materials and the fuel, which naturally shocks her as she never expected to see so many items. She asks how this was even possible, but Ono wonders if she means that he has not brought her enough stuff. On the contrary, Asha says that she does not even have enough people to handle this much material, so Ono will need to bring her some more support. So yes, Bro is cooked. Now, we see Ono in the middle of the welding, and he gets done with his job. He thinks about bringing the stuff to the carpenter's printing block. The carpenter girl ship is pleased with what our hero has brought her, and it looks like a plane. The screws also fit better than the nails they were using before, so the process is going to become a lot simpler now. Ship tells her folks to get working for the king right now, and Ono feels like he's finally getting the hang of his powers. He thinks about what he should do next, and then he turns to Asha. He has already decided what he wants to do next, but Asha's face doesn't suggest that she wants him to work. As a matter of fact, she wants him to rest, because even Lena is completely exhausted, and she's only overseeing the tasks. It turns out that Bro's habits as a corporate slave still haven't changed, but Asha hands him some coconut water and begs him to take a break. As he sips on the refreshing drink, our hero notices that Kururu has come back with a huge haul of prawns, which means he wants to have a tasty meal. As he begins preparing the food, an idea strikes Ono, and he begins working on something like a scientist. Asha panics once again, because she doesn't know what her master is going to make now. But he says he's only going to make liquid soap. He has combined multiple ingredients, like coconut oil, roasted seaweed, and salt. Ono then lets the whole thing age, and the foam starts to form. Asha is pleased by the scent, and Ono says that once you have soap, the next thing you would want is a bath. We can see that our hero has made a big enough space for the bathroom, and then Eren shows up to be fascinated by it. Ono tells her to turn the nozzle of the showers on, and the beast girl is pleased to see the water sprinkling down. Eren is not just amazed by the water, but also by the fact that it's hot water. As the beast girl enjoys her shower, Ono realizes that as long as he can have a mental picture of what he wants to create, he will be able to create it. Now that the work for today is done, Bro tells his babes that they can all enjoy the showers, so Eren gets all the girls to come here. Even Ono steps into the bathtub to relax after such a long day, and he is happy that he is able to enjoy Japanese cypress again. At this very moment, Eren shows up with all the girls, but rather than their swimsuits, they are all in their birthday suits. Ono is shocked, but Eren says the girls feel way better without their swimsuits on. Even men of culture would feel that way if you catch my drift. Lena blushes and says that this would be the best way to further develop her relationship with Ono too, as they have already gotten shady. Our hero is a bit nervous, but Eren steals his shorts because she wants him to feel comfortable as well. Of course, we can all see from Ono's face that he's in a hilarious situation. He tells Eren not to do such things, but she calls him boring. She also steals Lena's towels because it has to be an eye for an eye. Ono seems to be very reserved even after the previous night, so he tells Eren not to mess around, otherwise she won't get dinner. Now, Lisa also steps into the pool and she apologizes for Eren's behavior. Of course, Ono is not made, but he does admit that Eren acts like a child. However, he also knows of her tough past, so he wants to learn more. He asks Lisa as if she is his curvy sensei about what the people from the kingdom did to the elf girls and beast girls they captured. He wonders if Lisa and the others were taken advantage of, but she states that nothing was done to the women as the commander of the enemy was a woman. This is news to Ono, and he also learns that the main objective was not to capture the Camball Islands, but rather to use them as a frontline base to attack the Demon Kingdom. Lisa states that her own forces were quite formidable, but the female commander was on a whole other level. She seemed to be super strong as she was able to take down multiple soldiers with a single blow. This was what caused Lisa to lose her arm. Ono worries that this commander must have the divine protection of the hero god, so he's better off not making her his enemy. The kingdom also wanted the military's food supply, so Lena used this as leverage to spare her people in exchange for regular food. This may seem fair, but perhaps this was the kingdom's main plan all along. It's rather evil, but Bro's intrusive thoughts keep his eyes focused on Lisa's pillows. This makes her want to ask him a question, as she slightly touches his standing python. Lisa asks our hero if he has any control at all, especially based on his actions the previous night. Bro can't believe even Lisa is like this, but she says that's just how it is. At least he is able to stop himself from launching at her over here, but Ono says that Lisa is a very dignified woman. Lisa is happy to hear this as it's the first time a man has ever spoken to her with such grace. Ono understands his girls a lot better now, but he has to set some rules moving forward. He explains that he will hold an offering ceremony to the gods once the booze is ready, but he also suggests having a wedding ceremony before that. Lisa believes that this is called a first flower ceremony where the bride gives her flower to the man she desires. Based on the previous night's actions, we don't know if there are any flowers meant to be plucked, if you know what I mean. However, this ceremony will definitely confirm marriage, and then Lisa talks about how each surviving man once got 4 to 5 wives due to the shortage of elephants. Basically, on the island, it was normal for women to propose, which is why Ono is in such high demand right now. Our hero then goes on to talk about how he wants the ceremony to be a lavish one with a wedding cake, gorgeous outfits, and wedding rings. Of course, in order to make this happen, he will need to create bridal outfits and make rings too. Suddenly, one of the girls comes up from behind and calls out Lisa for sneakily talking to the king. The word of him marrying all the other girls breaks out, and every babe is now excited. Of course, Ono did not intend to literally wed all his babes, but that can't be helped now, so he'll just have to deal with having the ultimate collection of babes. Okay, now there's only one thing on our hero's mind, and that's his wedding. Brewer Mal is in charge of the booze, and Laura is to be given charge of the wedding dresses. What's left now are the cake and the rings, so he needs to figure out where to get the ingredients from them. Suddenly, Asha runs in and tells her master there is bad news. However, it's just that instead of magical steel, some of the ore that Bro had brought in earlier consisted of diamonds, rubies, and even sapphires. This is actually good news for our hero, because now he does not need to worry about the wedding ring. Asha now asks to leave the ring making duties to her, and Ono has full faith in her. With this problem gone, Bro now needs to think of the cake, for which he will need milk and eggs. For this, he will need chickens and cows, but doesn't know from where to get them. Suddenly, Kururu shows up and takes our hero away to someplace. Ono wants to know what's going on, but it looks like he's in for a surprise. Kururu takes his master deep into the forest, which is known for being a scary area. Now, the Fenrir beast starts growling, which is not very on brand for him. Ono figures there's something lurking around, so he pays close attention. That's when he notices some chickens and cows, but they all look like the final boss versions of their species. Ono decides to go the peaceful way by asking these beasts if they would like to be raised by him. However, he gets no reaction, so Kururu decides to show them what it means to oppose his master. His growl is so powerful that the monster chickens and cows calm down in fear, which impresses our hero. He then tells these animals to give him milk and eggs, so that he can give them tasty food in return. Kururu gives them a scary stare once again, so everyone forms a line. With that, Ono has become a tamer too, although most of the work was done by Kururu. There's also the fact that livestock falls under agriculture, so this is right up Ono's alley. Now, Lena and Aaron show up, but are shocked to see all these animals here. They have brought him some flower seeds because of the flower ceremony, but this is a bit extra. Ono is just glad to have made his ranch and coop, so he tells the girls it's time to sow the seeds. Aaron realizes that these muscular animals are actually demon cows and demon chickens. These animals are known to be vicious beasts, so the girls wonder if they can even be domesticated. This should normally be impossible for a human, but they notice the chicken doing exactly what Ono is telling it to do. Of course, Kururu's presence makes all the difference here, which is something that Lena and Aaron realize. Aaron does come up with an idea though, which is to use these beasts for their fighting power. There are around 34 magical beasts here, so if the duchy army were to make its way here, then they can be neutralized by these beasts. Lena sees what Aaron means, but she says they should still be careful about it. Now, Ono shows the girls that his new pets have already given him milk and eggs, but they know what the real reason is for this. Of course, Bro simply thinks that taming these beasts is easy peasy lemon squeezy. And at that moment, Laura and Asha also show up with the wedding dress. Laura has actually done a great job, because this dress is going to look great at the wedding. Asha has also made a wedding ring sample, which looks absolutely amazing. Ono is glad that he trusted the best girls for this job, and they decide to go into mass production. Before they leave, Ono asks them to at least try out the new bread, as he had created a bread oven earlier for the cake. Brewer Mal happened to bake this bread, and it looks really tasty. Not just that, there's all kinds of booze too, such as rum and beer, so it's time for the girls to enjoy a drink. Laura and Asha both seem to like these new drinks, as they're a lot better than warm ale. Ono is relieved that his livelihood magic is good for cooking, as he can heat and cool food and drinks quite easily with it. Now that the bread oven is also done, what's left is cream and butter. But there's something that Brewer Mal wants to talk about first. She has heard that Ono loves all the curvy babes even without any bias, just like anyone on Comic Guzzlers would. She then asks if Ono would be fine marrying her, although our hero once again reminds us that he did not make this suggestion. He does an Uno reverse and asks Mal if she wants to marry him, so she says that she isn't a naughty girl or anything like that. However, she does have a kid, so she thinks this would be a problem to our hero. Bro's face says it all because Mal is around 28 years old, and she is a beast woman with a child. Basically, she did have a husband named Cornell, but he lost his life because of the duchy army. Mal apologizes for asking such an absurd question, but she is proud of her husband because he had an honorable death. After all, he had sacrificed his life to protect Aaron on the battlefield. At this very moment, a little girl enters the room, and she happens to be Mal's daughter, Petty. She sweetly hugs her mother, and it breaks our hero's heart to see a mother and a daughter without a man to protect them. Now, Ono asks Mal if she is fine to marry again so soon, especially because of how much she loved her husband. She says that her husband would rather be happy to see her getting married to the protector of this island. Ono realizes that he must take care of Petty and also give birth to many other children, which is the duty of a true man of culture. Ono can't take this anymore, so he readily agrees to marry Mal, and even tells Petty that he will be her new father. Mal is grateful to him, but he tells her to be more casual with him now that she is going to become one of his many wives. There is a noble reason behind this, so Ono figures this is what a king is actually supposed to do. The big day soon arrives, as we see all the babes getting together to enjoy the wedding ceremony. The population of the village started off at around 100 people, but now it's the size of a small town, all thanks to Bro. There's a nice selection of dishes too, such as steaks, soup, and cake. Suddenly, someone calls out to him, and it happens to be Lena, along with all his other brides. There are around 7 babes in total, so this is the biggest Riz moment for Ono. He is taken aback by how pretty his wives look, but he also is unsure if he can handle 7 wives at the same time. Lena starts to feel conscious, so she asks Ono if they are looking weird, but she can rest assured that is not the case. Bro is still concerned over so many wives, but he'll just let it be and consider this to be an island custom. The girls tease him by saying he was ready to marry anyone as long as they got shady with him, but Bro has to maintain his reputation, so he asks his brides not to spread such rumors. Having said that, it's also nice to be wanted, so Ono is not too perturbed. Now, it's time to make offerings to the gods, so our hero begins with a warm meal. The food is presented and then a flash of blinding lights take over. Now, both Kronos and Vulcan show up, seeming happy to see Ono doing well. They are also glad to see him with booze, so it's time to get sloshed. Our hero tells the gods that he was also able to make some friends, although that's putting it lightly. The gods are looking forward to their offerings, and judging from their reactions, they love it. Vulcan doesn't waste any time with the booze, so Kronos as to tell him to control himself. Now, Lena approaches her lover boy and asks him who exactly are these people. He says that they are gods, but wants to know why the elf girl is asking him this. He explains that since they made offerings to the gods, it was obvious that they would come down to see him. However, Lena tells him not really, because there's nothing obvious about literal gods appearing in front of them. That's when Bro realizes that there has been yet another misunderstanding. How is Ono going to explain his scene with the gods to his many brides? And how on earth is he going to manage 7? The wives can't believe the gods are really here, and this is when Ono realizes that people are not used to seeing the gods descend. He then explains that when you make an offering to them, they come to you on their own. This still doesn't help them understand, but anyway, Kronos decides to call Mia and Hercabarets, because it would be rude of them not to show up after our hero made so much food for them. They do arrive, but Mia scolds the old man for telling her what to do. Hercabarets also says that they should not be favoring any individuals, but Kronos says that he has become so obstinate because of all that armor he wears. Ono doesn't want things to get aggressive, so he suggests the newly arrived gods try out some of his food. The god of heroes is shocked to find the meal so tasty, so Ono explains that he made the seafood soup by using a lot of kelp as broth. Kronos feels proud and says that this is possible because our hero has a 7-star blessing in agriculture. Mia now looks at the beef tail soup and says that it's quite impressive because none of her followers have ever made such offerings to her. Kronos now calls out to the goddess of healing, Alicia, who feels a bit awkward because she didn't really do anything for our hero. Ono tells her that she did help him out by giving him the Elysian herbs, but she says that he acquired them by his own luck. Even so, Alicia decides to dig in and enjoy the meat he has prepared. Bro is surprised that such a gentle goddess would enjoy meat, but he should not think of everyone as an angel. Now, Lena shows up and thanks Alicia for everything, which prompts her to recognize the babe. Lena is glad to know that Alicia acknowledges her as a believer, and it's even better when she asks her to continue her belief. Lena becomes so emotional because she never expected to hear this from her goddess. Now, Kronos asks Ono if he's going to call the monster god Ord. He has never heard his name before, but Kronos points out that Ono has been in the care of magical beasts. This means that Kururu's arrival was guided by none other than Ord himself. Ono happily invites the monster god, who is in the form of a scary dragon. Our hero asks Kronos what kind of food Ord likes, but he says that the monster god will eat pretty much anything. As a matter of fact, he is asking for the entire pot, so Ono hands it over in a flash. Ord finishes the pot in an instant, and definitely looks happier now, but our hero is shocked at his eating speed. They are going to need more food, so he asks Mal to lend him a hand. Vulcan then points out that they have run out of booze too, so that needs to be replenished as well, because he intends on getting wasted. Ono gets to work right away, and soon enough, he is able to replenish everything. All the gods are having a fun time, so Ono tells Kronos that he was thinking of having a wedding today. The old man is happy to hear that, because every man of culture hopes to marry his special woman. Our hero is built different because he's going to have several wives, But anyway, he wants the gods to be his witnesses. Kronos says that since his main skill is oversee bounties and harvests, he is the right god to be a witness to a wedding. Let's just hope the wedding is the only thing he witnesses, if you catch my drift. Ono is actually relieved it's Kronos because he's the only god right now who isn't drunk. We learn that there is a custom on the island which is known as the First Blossom Ceremony. However, it's also everyone's first time seeing a wedding, so Ono has to explain the scene. He tells Kronos that he and the girls will exchange vows, after which they will also exchange lily flowers and wedding rings. Kronos says that it is common to have multiple wives in this world, but our hero has a completely different level of riz. Anyway, it's time to get on with it, so Ono begins to state his vows. Suddenly, all the girls ask him to accept their flowers, but bro asks his harem to go one at a time. Soon enough, the vows are done, and all the girls get a wedding ring. Kronos officially declares them Giga Chad and Curvy Babes, while also hoping they bring forth tons of kids. Ono's elephant is going to work on overtime, but then Hercabarets tells Vulcan that he should give some blessings as it is an auspicious occasion. However, Vulcan is not sure what he should give Ono. That's when Kronos suggests giving Ono another star, but this is a bit extra. Mia is opposed to it, so the old man taunts her by asking if she wants to be petty again. However, she maintains that if they give Ono any further blessings, then it would mess up the order of this world. In that case, Alicia has an idea, which is to give a star blessing to each of our heroes' wives. It's a smart move, and Lena is particularly happy because she gets a star from Alicia herself. This is a great plan, but Mia is still against giving blessings so recklessly. However, Kronos tells her that she is pretty cheap to be the only god who has not given anything in return for all the food she ate. Mia doesn't like being called out, so she tells our hero that she is going to give her wisest merchant a divine message to come here. Ono is glad to hear this because he never expected a merchant to come to this backwater frontier. Now, we see Erin extremely happy, because she too got a blessing even though she is not Ono's wife. He asks her whom she got it from, and she reveals it's Hercabarets. Erin then teases Ono for saying he didn't want to marry her, but still got her a blessing, hinting that he wants her too. Ono says it's not like that, but Erin reveals she's just messing around with him. She still thinks it's too early for her to be paired with someone, but she is willing to make an exception if bro wants her as much as Diddy wants baby oil. Ono is in no mood to add to his 7 wives, because he is already going to have a hectic life ahead. Now, Ono's wives tell him that they are really glad they got to marry a Chad like him. He nervously smiles and says that he will do his best to keep them happy. He would have never thought of getting even one wife in his previous life, so maybe there is hope for all of us at Comic Guzzlers. Ono did wonder what would happen to him when he was left alone in this place. But he has been blessed with all kinds of human connections, so it's a good life. The other girls also talk about how amazing their king is, to have been able to summon gods to his wedding. It's even more amazing that he was able to get each of wives and Erin a blessing, so the praises keep coming in. Since Ono is recognized by the gods, the women believe he is the greatest man in the world. Plus, the food is amazing, so moving here was the best possible decision they could have made. Soon enough, the village came to be known as the God Visit Village, and it kicked off the cultivation not just of the frontier, but also the entire world of Aveaster. Ono would go on to be known as the production king, but for now, let's go to the night after the wedding ceremony. Lena proudly says that the girls should have their turns based on the size of their pillows. There is some confusion on whether they should go from small to big or big to small, but obviously Lena wants it in her favor. She is told that it's not necessary for her lover boy to only enjoy massive pillows, but more importantly, Ono doesn't know if he can handle all 7 wives tonight. He tells them that it's been a long day, and even they must be tired, so it would be better for all of them to go to sleep. Lena is not in the mood for that, so she rejects the suggestion. Now Mal has something important to ask, which is whether Ono has actually played elephants and kitties before. This makes him nervous, and even though it was hinted that he did do something earlier, the author has decided to make him innocent for now. Mal then states that apart from her, None of the other girls have any experience, so it could be a problem when both parties are clueless. Lena and the others are shocked to see how persuasive Mal is, because Ono agrees to leave the decision to her. She says that Bro should first try it with her, while the others watch, which is not exactly what he had in mind. He tells her that doing it in front of people would be difficult for him, so he would prefer it to just be the two of them for now. Mal then suggests her and the other beast girl Shippu, who is the same age as her. Ono can't believe he has to tackle two women at the same time, but he does have 7 wives, so this is an easy start. Mal says that she will take the lead first, so that she won't be around when it's Shippu's turn. It seems fair enough, so our hero asks his new wives to just be gentle with him. Mal says that he doesn't need to worry as she will take care of everything, and then all kinds of unspeakable acts follow. Now we move to the next day, as Ono wakes up from an eventful night. He asks Mal if he was doing anything wrong, and from the look of it, our hero seems to have done quite a number on her and Shippu. Mal doesn't know what to say about last night, but her husband wants to know if he was bad. She says that she is not sure if he was bad or if he was way too good, but she is glad that she tried it with him. However, she also calls Bro dangerous, so he asks what she means by this. Mal now tells Ono that he needs to be aware of what he's doing. If he's not careful enough, he could end up ending his babes in the bedroom. It's a funny scene, so Ono wonders if it's because of all the strength he received from the 7-star agriculture blessing. Anyway, now that he is officially and canonically a man now, Ono progresses the establishment of his kingdom. Migrants from the Kanbal Islands flocked in numbers to see the god visit village, and thanks to this, Ono's population began to increase. The prosperity was so rapid that word of it reached the upper echelons of the frontline duchy that governed the Kanbal Islands. We now move to the capital of the frontline duchy, which is called Century. It's a country held by the Heavenly Star Knights, and founded by a single hero along with 100 knights. We then see the daughter of Duke Zester of the Frontline Duty, and her name is Duchess Matilda von Frontline. She is going through some paperwork, but complains that it is not her cup of tea. However, now that her dad is down, she does have to manage it somehow. Now, somebody enters the room, and it happens to be Odin von Rosenheim who serves Matilda. He tells her that there have been reports of unrest in the Kanbal Islands, which is bad news for her, because it's an important base for their next operation. She learns that the population has gone down to less than half of what it used to be, and it could be because the taxes were too high. However, Matilda doesn't care about lowering taxes, so she tells Odin to leave it like he left his daughter Hela. Odin tries to appeal to her senses, but Matilda has as much attitude as Taylor Swift's and Beyoncé's love child. Odin tries to talk some sense into her, but she says they will now attack the Demon King's army, so there is no time to investigate an island. Odin's life sucks, but he decides to leave the room anyway. Matilda realizes that she may have been too stubborn, and says sorry to Odin, but obviously not in front of him. Her main concern is the Demon Lord's army, because if she loses this battle, then she will lose her country as well. This is why there is no other path for her to take as of now. Now, we move back to Ono, who is busy plowing the fields like he should be plowing his wives. We learn that over 5,000 people have migrated to his kingdom, and the number continues to grow with each day. There is a lot of land for the immigrants right now, but eventually, it won't be enough and Bro will have to become Donald Trump. Suddenly, Lena shows up while riding Kururu and says there's some bad news. She says that some new migrants have arrived, so it doesn't seem too alarming, but then she reveals that a group of dwarves and Kate Siths came one after the other. Ono is still clueless, so he says they should meet them first. Suddenly, a cat girl appears out of Kururu and asks if Ono is the king of this land. He asks her who she is, and that's when Lena reveals that she is a wise merchant who led the Kate Sith caravan here. The cat girl bows down to our hero and introduces herself as Shinku, who is also the president of the Cat Ears Trading Company. We learn that Kate Sith are supposed to be a species of cat fairies, but Bro is more interested in that hilarious name. Shinku says it is named this way so that her customers can recognize the company in an instant. After all, the cat ears and tails are the trademarks of the company. Shinku seems to know that Ono was reincarnated into this world, and this is because she is the follower whom Mia was talking about. Shinku can also prove that Ono has reincarnated because only people like him can purify and build a village in the frontier zone. Shinku wants to investigate the area for future reference, and Ono allows it, as he anyway needs to attend to the dwarves now. Lena goes with Shinku, and our hero hops onto Kururu for a quick trip. Bro is surprised to see actual dwarves in front of him, and their leader asks if he is the lord of this kingdom. The dwarf leader then says that they have come from the great mine of the Frontline Duchy. His name is Oberon, and Ono notices that he looks quite similar to Vulcan. Oberon is surprised to learn that Ono has met the god of smithing, but our hero has learned a few tricks from him too. Oberon becomes a total fanboy after hearing this, as even though he has a 5-star blessing in smithing, and is considered to be a Chad craftsman, he never got to learn directly from Vulcan. Ono says that there's a lot of land here, so the dwarves can live as freely as they like. He can produce as much wood and food as needed, so he asks Oberon if he and the dwarves can build a mining village in the mountains and live there. After all, digging through these mountains will yield magic stones, so it's a good idea. Oberon is shocked that Ono would share such a secret with someone he just met, but our hero says that he seems trustworthy enough, so it's no big deal. Oberon falls to his knees because of this generosity, and pledges his allegiance to Ono. It's a bit too dramatic, so Ono tells Oberon to just focus on making the mining village. They agree to help each other out, and things work out for Ono yet again. The dwarves establish the mining village in the north, along with a human village that supplies food. To the south, the number of migrants from Kanbal has now exceeded 10,000, and the Kate Siths have also started to establish an international trade harbor. At this rate, Bro is going to be super rich. Ono also decides to build a fortress running along the river, which will serve as a base for the kingdom. Now, we see Shinku sipping on some tea, after which she suggests that they should not export magic steel from the kingdom. She says this is because they need to be prepared for future wars with the duchies. Magic steel weapons will be a huge advantage for them, so they should not share it with others. Lena feels bad to hear this, but Shinku says that they have pretty much already declared war by taking in so many immigrants. Lena does not understand, because she and her girls left after paying their taxes in full. Plus, the frontier is a place where people can't live, so she thought the duchies would not pay attention to it. Shinku says that Lena is too innocent and her thinking is too naive. The residents of the Kanbal Island are leaving in heaps, so the princess would be a fool not to have noticed it by now. Of course, Shinku is here to use her big brain energy, so she says that she will devise a strategy to intercept the enemy while taking everything into consideration. Ono is relieved to hear this because he isn't much of a military expert. Shinku says he can leave the strategy to her, and even Oberon says that he will fight with all his might. Lena promises that her folks will do the best they can as well, but Shinku says that the elf fishing village by the sea is anyway going to be the first target. Erin says that she will be there to protect Lena, but Shinku is not too sure about that. She sarcastically says that a 1-star blessing from the god of heroes should be enough to protect the entire kingdom, but Erin says that they don't need any cat fairies to help them out. The two of them get into an argument and are about to fight, so Ono has to calm them down. He says that he is going to be expecting a lot from the both of them, and then Shinku says that if the duchy army comes at them with full force, then it is definitely going to be a tough war. In the end, it is all going to come down to Ono's powers, but he has no idea what she means by this. Shinku says that she has heard all about our hero's skills, and his ability to even make the gods descend onto this world. There's also the fact that he was able to purify the frontier land, but Ono says that he hasn't mastered his powers yet. He is not sure if he can even be used in a battle, but Shinku tells him to keep an open mind. She believes that it is going to be Ono's powers of enriching land which will prove to be essential weapons in the war. Our hero gets inspired by these words, so he says he will definitely consider it. He is the type who will never hesitate to give everything he has to protect his people. After all, that is the true duty of a king. How is Ono going to contribute to this eventual battle? Will he awaken some kind of hidden powers? How will Shinku strategize a battle plan for the kingdom? Is Matilda really going to turn to the dark side and attack our hero? Meanwhile, at the frontline duchy castle, there's panic because the country's large mine has stopped working. The princess can't believe that all the miners have disappeared one after the other, and if this continues, then the duchy army will collapse without their weapons. Now, Odin shows up with grilled mushrooms, but Princess Matilda asks him if this is the time to be cooking meals. He says these mushrooms relate to the missing miners, as they were found in the food delivered Kanbal Island. However, such things don't grow there, which confuses the princess. That's when Odin reveals that the miners are going to this place as it shares its food supplies. Naturally, the princess does not believe such a place exists. Odin reveals that he investigated the island and has learned that a new kingdom has been established in the frontier. Of course, this place used to have horrible living conditions, but has now been transformed into a fertile land by our hero, who is called the Production King. The people leaving the duchies have sought refuge here. The timing isn't ideal with a looming attack, so the princess asks for a solution. That's when a shady character appears and says he can go crush the country. It's the vice-captain of the Celestial Knights, who has a 4-star blessing from the god of heroes. Matilda wants to hire him, but Odin reminds her what he did to Kanbal Island before. His army of 100 men wiped out all the beast folk without any hassles, so he does not want further chaos. Since Matilda is busy with preparations, it would be best to hand it over to this vice-captain, which makes him happy. Odin is against this, but Matilda does not listen to him. She hires this man whose name is Graham. He is keen to live up to the princess's expectations, and then he sets out to the island. The place is supposed to be ripe for the picking, as there are elves and beast men over here. Graham gives an evil smile, as he has no intention of letting anyone escape. He is excited to rip the place apart, and then he tells his men to loot all they want. They all plan on having some fun, but there is no one here. They are puzzled as to where everyone could have gone, but at that very moment, they all hear an ominous sound. It's an army of monster livestock, and they're all charging at Graham's men. They try to spread out, but it's of no use. A chicken is about to take down a soldier, but then Graham takes it down. He tells him that these are demon cows and chickens, so they are dealing with a rank beasts. These creatures need to be dealt with in groups of 5. Graham laments that he was too careless at first, and now he has to fight a tough battle. Meanwhile, we can see Ono and his babes watching from a distance. Eren is complimented by Shinku for using magical beasts to reduce the numbers, but she seems to have a serious expression. She asks her master if he can let the beast girls take care of these men, because they are the ones who wiped out her village. She wants to make them pay for what they did, but Ono tells her to please chill. Eren tells him that this is their only chance, and begs him to give the command. After some pleading, our hero eventually agrees, but before he can lay out the rules, Eren and her beast girls charge at the army without any second thoughts. Graham sees a lot of beast folk coming at him, and figures he should run away by himself, but then Eren calls him out by his name. Graham remembers her from the time he first attacked the beast folk, and then an intense fight kicks off. Eren launches a full power attack, and Graham blocks it. But he is surprised to see the power of her new sword. She is able to keep up with Graham's magic sword, which he did not expect. Eren will never forgive him for ending Cornell, but the villain decides to use his trump card because his opponent is a lot tougher than before. He unleashes an acid blast attack, but to his surprise, she dodges it with ease. Graham wants to know who Eren actually is, but she says she is not the same as she was the last time they met. After all, she too has a 4-star blessing from the god of heroes, thanks to her master. Graham can't believe this, but he still feels he can defeat her. His attitude gets the better of him as Eren strikes when he least expected it, and she even breaks his sword. Graham is done for now, as Eren launches her blade straight into his chest. Once again, Aaron shouts out that this is vengeance for Cornell, and she is going to end Graham right here, right now. Graham calls her a puny brat, but he is the loser here, so he's sort of like Drake. With the battle over, Aaron stands there as Ono rushes to her. She falls to the ground too, but over relief that she has got her revenge. She looks at her master with tears in her eyes, and he tells her she did well. Our hero squad has won this battle, and we go back to the frontline Duchy Century Castle. Matilda could accept that Graham's squad got wiped out, but is shocked that Graham himself got slain as well. Odin explains that the few men who did manage to escape the fight revealed they were attacked by demonic beasts and beast girls. Matilda can't believe this, but Odin states that their new enemy is a lot tougher than they had anticipated. The princess is upset, and she needs more information on this kingdom. Odin says he is already gathering intelligence from merchants and refugees who travel in and out of the new kingdom of Tadashi, but they have already received a letter from them. Matilda reads the letter and learns that the people want to talk to a representative from Duchy regarding prisoners of war. She decides to go for this discussion, but Odin asks if she actually wants to do this by herself. Matilda states that she is already involved quite deeply here, and as the commander of the knights, she can't allow her men to remain captive at Tadashi. Odin agrees with her and goes ahead with the preparations. Matilda admits that even though her celestial knights are glorious, they still suffered a crushing defeat, and she should have put more thought into her strategy. Odin asks her not to act rashly and repeat the same mistakes, but this seems to irk her. Matilda tells Odin she is not a child who can be told off anymore, but she is allowing her ego to take over her brains. Odin once again tells her that she needs to stop and at least think about the situation before moving forward. Matilda says there is no time for that, so she begins preparations for deployment. She plans to take 2,000 knights and 20,000 soldiers with her to the Kanbal Islands, wherein she will take charge of 1,000 celestial knights and head to the frontier. Odin says he too will accompany her for the negotiations, but we are sure he is thinking of her as a fool. Now we see the Duchy army reaching Kanbal, and Matilda is surprised to see they have a port that's so nicely built. She can't figure out from where our hero got all the money for this. It strikes her that Shinku could be helping Bro with her cat ears trading company, as she has 4 stars of blessings from the god of wisdom. Anyway, she doesn't see any war ships or soldiers, which is strange, because a wealthy kingdom should have a good army. Odin says this must be intentional from the enemy's end, as they do not wish to show off their military strength. He reminds Matilda that the Tadashi kingdom already has demonic beasts as their first line of defense, so she should not act rashly. However, Matilda is tired of being told the same thing again and again. Now, Ono calls out to her and asks if she is the representative of the Duchy kingdom. Lena and the others are with him, but Matilda and Odin are a bit confused. The princess asks our hero who he is, and he reveals that he's actually a farmer who somehow became the king of this land. Matilda is angry, because she can't believe a human like Ono could have achieved so much by himself. However, Odin tells her to look at Bro's hand, which has 9 stars of blessings. Ono reveals that he has 7 stars from the god of agriculture and 1 each from the gods of smithing and heroes. Matilda thinks that our hero is trying to mock her, but Odin tells her that they should believe him. She is shocked by Odin's suggestion, because it should be impossible to have so many stars of blessings. Odin tells her that it would normally be impossible to create such a prosperous kingdom from an otherwise godforsaken frontier. Naturally, it has to be the power of the god of agriculture which has made this happen. Ono can see that Matilda is annoyed, so he asks Shinku to present the terms of their negotiations. The cat girl says that their demands are quite simple. They will return the captured knights, and will not pursue any retribution even for the earlier invasion. The only thing they want is for Duchy to recognize them as a nation and stop interfering with their affairs. This seems quite lenient, but even with such a good deal, the stupid princess says that she can't allow this when 10,000 of her people have been taken away from her kingdom. However, Shinku counters by saying it's false to claim these people were taken away from Duchy. After all, everyone came here of their own free will, and they sought asylum. She goes on to mock Matilda by saying this only happened because she sucks at her job. Ono tries to calm the situation by asking Matilda if she needs food supplies. He obviously can't provide these supplies for free, but he can trade them at a discounted rate. Despite his reasonable request, Matilda says that won't do at all. Our hero is confused, so he asks her what she wants. She says that he must return the dwarves, the elves, and also the beast men back to duchy. The dwarf leader Oberon tells the arrogant princess that his people came to serve Ono of their own will, and they will choose who they wish to serve. Lena and Aaron also say that they have become our hero's wives, and they will never leave their lover boy. The Riz is unreal, and then Ono tells Matilda that he can't accept her brainless request because it does not make sense if everyone in his kingdom has come with their consent. Matilda says that they should become a vassal state and join her territory. She says she will protect them from the Demon King's army too. But this is yet another idiotic move. Shinku has had enough of the stupid princess and scolds her by saying she has only been spouting nonsense for a while. There's no way for them to accept these terms, so Matilda says that they are done here. She tells Odin they are heading back, so it looks like the princess is going to do something even more stupid, if that is even possible. What is Matilda going to do next? Is she actually going to attack Bro's kingdom without thinking? Will Odin stop her from making a grave mistake? There's a lot more to find out in our hero's story, but sadly, we have come to the end of today's video. Like, share, and subscribe if Ono is a refreshing new hero for you guys and you want to see his story continue. Who's your favorite babe? Is it Lena, Aaron, Mal, Shinku, or someone else? I'm trying all kinds of stories and edits to give you guys some engaging content. So let me know if you have any suggestions in the comments below. Okay then, I'll see you in the next one.